What's going on, Mustang Nation? I'm Charlie Moon, and we've got, as always, the Mustang Nation and the Nate Clark Show. We've got the man himself, head coach Nate Clark, and joining us today, we always have at least one player. Today we've got the senior running back, fullback. His name is Robert Clark. Hey, how's it going, Coach Clark? I know you guys had a big win last week. How's it going?
We're doing good. How about you, Charlie? You doing all right today?
I am doing all right. I'm going to cut that music because it's in and out, so we're going to rock and roll without the background music today. But anyway, hey, look, just to cut to the chase right off the bat, 3-3, and we've been talking about the last few weeks, you guys preparing for what could be something big there in Effingham County, South Effingham High School, home of the Stangs, getting ready for a playoff run possibility. And you've put yourself in that spot now that you can start. I know as a coach, you don't want to talk about playoffs, a la Jim Mora, but you're in that spot now where you can really start saying, you've always believed that. I know that, but you're in that spot, 3-3. You got your win in conference. Now you need at least one or two more. Got to have at least one more, but now at least you're in the spot to where you're not like maybe the last year or two where you're just kind of hoping to eke in there. Now you're saying, you know what? We can do this. We just got win number one. We're ready for that playoff run.
There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. I think our team's hungry and excited. All we can focus on right now is having the very best possible practice session and working towards Friday. We're going to work hard every single day and everything we do. It's in the weight room, the film room, out on the practice field, getting us ready for Friday. And then Friday night, we'll have to go out and make some plays and have a good game this upcoming Friday. And can't worry about all the results. When you worry about results, sometimes that brings some added stress, and stress doesn't allow you to play at your best possible ability. So we're just going to do the best we can, and hopefully we'll have that opportunity to play in the playoffs.
I love hearing a head coach say that. You don't hear that too often, and that's one of the things I think that's different from you, Coach Clark, and some other guys. Not that like you're totally different than everybody else. There are other guys that kind of say the same thing sometimes, but I don't think it's coach speak from you. I think you really believe that in your heart. You really believe in your heart that yes, results are important, but the results are going to take care of themselves as long as we don't worry about results. We do what we got to do every day, get a little bit better. We build, and those things are going to happen.
Man, that's the truth. I mean, it is what's going to happen. So we got great seniors. Robert here. He's been a focal point of what Mustang football is about in this senior class. He's done a phenomenal job of just being an unbelievable person and leader. We had this deal we had this summer. We really started last winter. It was the character games, and we pretty much through that measured every single aspect of a kid and of a program. We divided the teams up into the whole team up into about 10 different teams, maybe eight or nine different teams, and each team had to earn so many points, and they were able to go to Buffalo Wild Wings and celebrate. It measured what they did on the field, off the field, in the classroom, everything you can think about it. And Robert ended up accumulating more points than anybody else on our team, and proved to be everything that we're looking for in South Africa.
Yeah, and that was going to be the first thing I was going to say to Robert. Bringing him on now, Coach Clark. Hey, you just took care of it. You just took care of introducing Robert Clark to everybody who's watching Mustang Nation in the Nate Clark Show. So, Robert, I'll ask you, how do those things transfer to the gridiron?
Man, I think it's about like discipline and just making sure you got your responsibilities down, doing the right thing on the field, off the field. You're a leader in the example for people. I think everybody gets.
And sometimes when you're displaying a character, sometimes some people do it to receive some accolades and kind of get their name out there. But when you're that leader of the ball team, And when you have, well, in this case, when you have that many character points, you don't get that many character points by just wanting your name in lights, so to speak, every now and then. You're doing it on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year basis. So to me, that really says a lot. And then it translates to what you do on the ball field too, because you're a fullback and you don't get a lot of bones thrown your way. You're especially in the South Effingham offense. Hey, you guys, I mean, there's no secret. You guys changed things up a little bit this year. You're going to run it. You're going to run it again, and you're going to run it again. You're going to hold up a big sign on the sideline. No matter how many signs y'all hold up, no matter how many hand signals you got going, you're going to run it. Now, you got different ways of disguising that, but in the middle is the fullback, and that's a big key to what goes on the ground game, but you don't always have your name in lights. So how does that compare with the two things that we're talking about? You don't always have your name in lights as a fullback, but you don't always have your name in lights when you're doing things just to have great character. How does that compare?
I mean, I think it's just the way that I got brought up. You know, I'm not really worried about getting recognition or being highlighted or anything. It's just I want to do my job to help the team. And what I mean, you got to do right and do right, blocking out there on the field. That's what it means.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you guys do on a week-to-week basis. I love seeing your booster club, you know, Coach Clark. And I'm not saying this just because I'm bragging on old JT Shilke and Kenny Williams and all those other families and things that are involved in booster club. You guys have one of the best booster clubs I've seen around that's consistently on a day-to-day basis. That's not just involved with the players, because a lot of booster clubs do things on a day-to-day basis, but they're consistently involved in putting it out there, especially on social media. And that takes a lot, and your booster club does a heck of a job doing that.
I can't say enough about, you know, our booster club and our parents. You know, we have some great parents here at South Effingham, and they're always helping out in everything that we ask them to do. And you know, our boosters, they do a phenomenal job. And one thing that we do, you know, if we win on Friday night, we feed them on Wednesday. Our booster club will be out there at 6 o'clock tonight after practice. We got tacos. We're going to give tacos to all the kids for our Victory Wednesday for winning this past Friday night. That's something the booster club does, and they do a phenomenal job.
So if I was playing ball for you guys, I would have some problems. I would have to be like sabotaging some things, because I'm trying to watch things and watch my weight. Every time I look on stuff they're posting, you got, like I said, y'all have tacos, you got donuts. But I mean, when you're working out and you're working it hard, you need those calories. But he's talking about burning calories and doing things fast. Wow, judo. Brown and wait a minute, let me get this right. Brown belt and a former national champion in judo. Look, I'm not messing with you. I'm not messing with you. How does that translate to what you do on the field?
I mean, I started judo when I was real young, probably like 7, 8 years old. So I think that really building blocks for just balance, agility, and strength. I don't think I'd be where I am today, athletic-wise, if I hadn't been doing that for so long. It just teaches you to just like pay attention to the details, and that like practice really does make perfect. If you rep over and over and over again, you're going to get better.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, especially when you're dealing with a running game, that's a lot of the things that may kind of look and feel the same in a running package like you guys have. There's a lot of intricacies that are different, and if you don't take care of those tiny little intricacies, the 4 and 5 yards of play, it's never going to happen. But you know, hey, your sensei Kevin Wilder he's one of your heroes. Talk about him a little bit.
I mean, he's one of the best guys I've ever met, probably ever will meet. You know, he volunteers all of his time. He's a pilot. He's driving a motorcycle. He doesn't ever take any money from us all the years we've been doing classes with him. He's never asked for a penny. And he's been like a role model since I was really young for me and my brother. Class with him. Couldn't pick a better person to have in my life right this year.
Wow. So is that something that's kind of, I hate to use the word normal, but when you say sensei with judo and karate and that kind of thing, I know that's the man or woman that's usually teaching a lot of the art form of it, but it seems like that's somebody that's like involved in those personal lives a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I say he's almost family. I've known him for so long. He's a real close family friend. We've had him around the house a good bit of times. it's like it's invaluable having him in our lives.
Wow. And hey, your favorite class, history, and of course you added in weights there. That's I mean you got to have that. What do you like so much about history? That's kind of similar to me. I used to love history too. What do you like about history so much?
Man, I just like learning about country and the world and how we used to live and how we're living now compared, how far we've come, and want to study the mistakes of the past so we don't make those again.
Kind of flip the script a little bit. We'll touch on. We'll go ahead and touch on the win at Lakeside. We talked about a couple weeks ago. We were talking about the Lakeside game. Yeah. You go into that game thinking, all right, we got to win at least 2 games to make sure that we get in the playoffs. And you got number one with that 26-13 win. You had a monster night on the ground. 44 carries as a team for 266 yards and 3 scores on the ground. That's the kind of ball game that you love, right, Coach Clark?
Well, I tell you, I was so proud of our team. We played probably the best we have all year long as a team. Defensively, we've been lights out all year. Our defense has been really, really good. Credit to the defensive coaching staff and getting the players buying into everything. And you also have to give credit to the offense. We possessed that ball for an awful lot this year and kept the defense off the field, and special teams have been pretty stout. But on Friday, it kind of all came together. The defense played well, and offensively, we moved the ball. We moved the ball really well. We moved the ball on the ground, and Lakeside's a scrappy team. They have really good special teams. We were up 20-3. They drove down and scored to make it 20-10, and then they kicked an onside kick. And we knew they did some crazy things on special teams, and we had practiced it, and that guy just executed. Hats off to them. Just a really, really, really good onside kick, and they were able to get on top of it, and they drove down and were able to get a field goal out of that possession since they had such great starting field position. And it was there in the fourth quarter, and our backs were kind of against the wall, and our offense had opportunities in a game before, I guess against Glenn not too long ago, to drive down and get some points and secure the win, and we were unable to do so. And it did not feel good, and it was not fun, but it was almost like we needed that moment to learn, how we need to overcome that. And we did this past Friday night. We had that chance to go down and put the game away, and we took the ball 80 yards down the field and scored a touchdown, and were able to ice the game. And that was something that we haven't done. So I felt it was a great game. Really a complete game on both offense and defense, and special teams. We made a couple errors that we have to improve on, and we've been working hard this week, and I think we're going to overcome that and be a lot better this upcoming week, especially.
Yeah, you're right. Lakeside got within 1 score, 20-13, with a short little chip shot field goal, 19-yard field goal at the 7:33 mark in the fourth quarter, and then that's when that drive happens that you have, man. It's like there's been with the Richmond Hill season. Of course, I do play-by-play for them, most everybody knows. There's usually one spot in the ball game with them too in that second half where their coaching staff just looks them in the eye and say, "Look, we need an 8-minute pound and ground drive right now. If we don't have that, we're either going to run out of gas or that's just going to be it." And you guys needed that moment right then, and you got it. Robert, does your coaching staff ever tell you, I mean, look, you want to score every time you get the ball, obviously, but do they ever look you in the eye and say, "Look, we need a drive. You guys control that line of scrimmage and give our guys room to run"? I mean, do they ever just look you in the eye and tell you that? That had to be a moment like that.
Well, of course, sometimes they just stand us there and they tell us, like, we have to get there. We have to move them off the ball. We have to get some drive. We have to be more physical than them. If we're more physical, we can win ball games.
And looking forward to this week, Brunswick. They bring in a dynamic offense. They're one of the top teams in the state, ranked number anywhere between 6 and 9, depending on what polls you're looking at. Garrett Grady took over for them. He was an assistant there for a long time, and Sean Pender left Brunswick to go up toward Hall County and in his case to truly be close to the family, and he didn't mind me saying this because I know him well enough to know that he wouldn't mind me saying this because there's a very sick family member that they needed to be closer to. So he went up to Hall County for that, and then kind of handed over the reins to Garrett Grady. And Coach Grady's done a great job there. They're 7-0. They're 3-0, and they lead the region right now. But that could change with the South Effingham Mustang win, and who knows how that could stand up. But hey, those guys are dynamic on offense, fairly similar to the way they've been the last few years, in that they've got more than one, more than two, even more than three guys on offense that can light it up anytime, any place.
Well, there's no doubt about it. They're a good team. Coach Grady, he's a great guy. I've known him for a couple of years, and we talked on the phone some even prior to him getting the job, like last couple of years. He's just a great ball coach, and anytime that you're able to know people like that, and I know their special teams coordinator pretty well. I've known him for 7 or 8 years, so. Anytime some guys that you're going against, they're coached well. And I know that Brunswick's coached well, and they got phenomenal athletes. They got guys all over the place. They got huge linemen. They got fast receivers. They got a left-handed quarterback who can throw that ball. They got guys on defense that fly around. They'll strike you. They got big linemen. They're a good football team. But, you have to play the game. And our kids, our morale's good. We're working hard. We had 65 kids today. We squat max. We had 65 kids in our program go up today and squat max. The kids are excited. They're up for the challenge. And, I played these games before throughout my career where I've been on a team that's been really, really good and played a team that's fighting to get in the playoffs or an up-and-coming team kind of like we are right now. And we ended up losing to the team. And I've been on the other side when at Lee County, we were in a situation very similar where we were fighting to have relevance, and we weren't quite there yet, but we won a couple games, and we played the mighty Lowndes Vikings one night, and I think the only kids and the only people that believed we could be Lowndes were people on that team. And we beat Lowndes that night, and it propelled our program to where it needed to be several years down the line. And that was a big statement win that we had. And I believe this team, they've worked really hard. They believe in it. They believe in what we're doing offensively and defensively. Special teams wise, we're doing a great job. And if we come out and we play really, really well on Friday night, there's no reason we can't win this football game.
Yeah, a couple of their guys in the backfield that kind of lead the way for them are Johnson and Heck. They account in the ground game for about 75% of their yardage. Those two guys can fly on the outside. But the thing to me that kind of makes a difference in the Brunswick offense this year versus last year, last year they were pretty good. But the difference this year is they got a quarterback in Elkinson that's 58%. And last year, I'm just honestly, and probably he would even tell you, that they just weren't much of a threat to throw the ball downfield except for drop back and throw it and let somebody jump up and get it. They got a little bit more of a true passing game now that they can kind of mix in that they didn't really have last year.
Well, last year they lit us up. So, I thought they looked pretty darn good to me. So, I'm hoping that they're not quite as good as they were last year. But last year they had two quarterbacks, and they rotated those two guys, and neither one of them stood out more so than the other one. This year they just have the one guy that they play typically. But, they're good. There's no doubt. But, our kids are up for a challenge, and we're ready to play. Come on, Friday night, 7:30. Our boys are going to be fired up, ready to play, and we're going to go. We're not backing down. We're ready to go try to get a W here.
Yeah, there's been a couple games where they've given up some points to the defensive side of the ball, Robert, namely Grovetown. Hey, look, they gave up 39 points to a Grovetown team that you guys have in a week or two. So they can be had on the defensive side of the ball. What's the thing on the defensive side of the ball, Robert, that I don't want to say worries you? They usually ask high school players that, and they go, well, nothing concerns us. And so I try to be careful on how to phrase this. What's the one or two things on defense that they do really well that you guys are focused on?
They fly around, right? They're fast. They got a bunch of athletes over there. And so, I think we got to be really disciplined and just fundamentally sound if we want to win this ball game coming up.
And we'll round it out in the next couple minutes like this. Coach Clark, when you got there, you had goals set. And it didn't happen last year. There was a lot of struggles last year, but it was a little bit different than 2 years ago. Last year, and I've said this several times with you guys, and I know, Coach Clark, you may get tired of hearing it, but there's a lot of people that might be watching and listening that have only seen it for the first time or heard for the first time, or they don't know. Maybe there's a South Effingham alumni in Montana that just, hey, they do this show, I can watch it, so they may not know. And I'll say it again really quick. Hey, look, a couple of years ago, it was a team that didn't have a good record, but honestly, they didn't finish games. But last year, the record was not where you wanted it to be, but the team was different. How has that led? The team was different. When I say different, that's because played every down as hard as you could from the finish or from the beginning to the very end. And that is translated to this year. Now those results are having. You got to be proud knowing that you've taken that program to that spot where there wasn't a whole lot of energy. Now you're 3-3. You're ready. You're truly fighting for that playoffs. It's got to feel good.
Well, every team's different. Every situation is a little bit different. Came in a few years ago. We had a really good team. We won a bunch of games, and then we tried to continue some things in 2020 based on what we did in 2019, and it just didn't work. For whatever reason, it didn't take off very well, and I take responsibility and blame for that. So we really tried to change a lot of things that we did the following year, which was last year, and the kids bought into it, and they worked extremely hard. But we're still missing some pieces to the puzzle. There's things that weren't quite right. So we really evaluated what we did, and offensively, we changed what we did schematically, and I think that's made a tremendous difference. And we built off of what we did the year before. And sometimes those kids didn't see the results, but the kids this year that are seniors have benefited from the foundation that the guys laid before them, and the kids next year will build upon what they've seen before them, not just in one class but two. And this class here is taking it even a step further than the class did last year, and have really bought into doing things the right way. We don't have a lot of issues, don't have a lot of problems, no drama. It's just a bunch of – we have 17 seniors that work extremely hard that's bought into South Effingham Mustang football.
Hey, well, that's a great way to round it out. Hey, Robert Clark, I pretty much already talked to you about everything on the sheet. I really appreciate the way you guys you take the time to fill in the Google Docs that we send you, because sometimes I've done these things and they haven't done it, and I've told them it's going to be a weird show. It might not be that great, but we, the Low Country Radio, we really appreciate that you guys make sure that you take the time to fill in those things, because it makes shows like this run so much smoother. So we thank you guys for that. Robert, I'll let you have the last word. Your words for Mustang Nation as you guys get ready to go or to play Brunswick on Friday night.
I mean, we're going to fight hard. At every single snap, we're going to be fighting hard. We'll be as physical as we can.
Ha! We'll finish it like that. Hey, guys, Coach Clark and Robert Clark. I didn't even know. You guys are you guys kin at all?
No relation.
Okay,
I claim him though.
Yeah.
There's got to be some relation. Any kid like that, he's got to be related to me somehow, some way.
I hear you. All right, guys. A couple days. Go get you some.
All right, Charlie.
Friday night.
Thank you. Good night.
And that was Robert Clark and head coach Nathan Clark for the South Effingham Mustangs. Going to take on Brunswick on Friday night. See you next week.